What's up, guys? For this week so far, once again, we guys are a video. Look at the 5 most brutal kills in Warhammer. On Warhammer scale, this is probably going to be completely grotesque and terrible, so I'm all here for it. Like always, please check out the original video in the description. Like every content creator I've reacted to, do a phenomenal job. Taking all this lore, taking all the content, makes it easier to understand videos, so show them some love. Without further ado, let's get to it. Also, by the way, if you haven't noticed yet, I flipped kind of the screen works. There's some people that are telling me to try to do a smaller webcam with a bigger picture of everything, the actual video. So let me know if you guys actually prefer that in the comments, just so I know. But we're just giving it a trial run this video, so let's get to it. 5 most brutal kills.
Guys and gal, Warhammer 40k has no shortage of brutal deaths. Sometimes
It's a
the writers
fancy
will
shirt,
even go
man.
extra
Jeez.
hard on a fan favorite character just to mess with us. As books also don't really seem to have like an age rating per se,
It's
some
making
of
me
these
look like
deaths
trash.
go into excruciating detail, making you cringe by the imagined agony that these people are experiencing. But
I'm
5
sorry.
deaths stand above the rest. Deaths so brutal and hardcore that you genuinely find yourself staring into space being like, bruh, for a couple minutes. So I thought by sharing the 5 absolutely most brutal deaths with you guys, we could see how hard 40k truly is willing to go. Before we get started, it's now 2024. It's time to grow
It
up.
is?
Being
That's
smelly
awesome.
and ungroomed just isn't a vibe and is something that needs to be left in 2023.
Of course, I just got a YouTube ad right there. Apologies, guys. It was extremely cringy.
But it is so
I
over the top
hate
and
YouTube ads,
ridiculously
man. It's
brutal
such a
and hardcore
pain in the
that it
butt.
would be remiss of me not to mention it. That being the death of Kosan, a captain of the Sons of Horus. When the heresy ended, the traitor legions all fled to the Eye of Terror and basically begun civil warring their own tits off as a way to try cope with their humiliation.
They lost a war,
become
then
the
started
dominant
another
traitor
war.
force. The Sons of Horus were especially targeted due to them being blamed for the heresy and the subsequent shit situation all the traitors found themselves in. To rectify this and also somewhat unite the traitor legions, Abaddon created the Black Legion using a huge chunk of Sons of Horus, but also allowing any traitor from any legion to join as well. Abaddon didn't expect or demand the other legions to join the Black Legion, however he did demand that all Sons of Horus flock to his banner. Some did not want to though, including Kosan. Kosan had become quite powerful. He'd been heavily mutated and enhanced by chaos and he had his own small army and planet. When Abaddon came knocking to secure his allegiance, he told Abaddon to go fuck off and die. Hence Abaddon had to make an example of him. The Black Legion viciously attacked Kosan's planet, slaughtering his warriors and taking him prisoner. Instead of a simple execution, Abaddon wished to totally break and humiliate Kosan, so he gave him to his elite Terminators who proceeded to crucify and impale Kosan on
Holy
their battle stand
crap.
while he was still alive, and carry him around like a fucking festival doof stick.
So they basically put a toothpicks in him, and that's the most PG way to say it. And they carried him around, like kind of what you do when you're at a party and they have a little tray of like those like little pieces of meat and cheese. Is that kind of what they did to him? Because that, ugh.
They kept him
Why
alive
not?
by intravenously feeding him the vomit and shit of their legion slaves. Plus, due to his warp mutations, Kosan was significantly more durable. The dude was alive for 5 months of absolute agony before eventually dying.
5
That would have been
months.
fucking horrific and probably the most brutal death in the entire setting. However, as nobody gave a fuck about Kosan, I'm only having it as 5th on this list. The next
Still.
brutal death is that of Beakinsa, one of the most famous musicians in the entire Imperium. During the Great Crusade, the Emperor
Musician? Could have fooled me.
decreed that at this time of epicness, shit should get recorded. Hence, thousands of artists, poets, musicians, and whatnot were sent out
Them
to join the
earrings
various
though, bro.
fleets to record the legends of the Primarchs and Space Marines. The Emperor's children, known for their love of art, received some of the most talented and famous remembrances in the Imperium, one of which was the legendary Bekwa. She was a very extra woman who was also mega horny, banging at everyone she could no matter their gender. I'm sure you can see where this is going. When Slanesh
Slanesh
started to tickle the
2.0.
legion's balls, Bekwa was inspired to create her magnum opus, her finest song ever, and while it probably sounded great to everyone who was listening to it, it was overall probably dog shit and very random. However, due to the emotion poured into it alongside Bekwa creating new instruments based on the ones that the Leia used, she was able to summon a bunch of Slaneshi demons while driving the audience
Called it. Slanesh.
into a state of orgasmic frenzy. All of her co-performers were either possessed by demons, which killed them, or were then torn apart by the demons summoned, which, also killed them. The Space Marines in the crowd went insane, ripping their mortal crewmates to shreds or eating them or flaying them with their hands and wearing their flesh as fashion accessories.
What the fuck?
However, all of this pales to Bekwa's death. As she was the epicenter of the carnage, she suffered the worst. She was puppeted by Slanesh and forced to move and dance in impossible ways a mortal never should. Her bones popped and cracked, her joints dislocated, her muscles were shredded, and eventually even her bones were crushed into powder. But onward she danced. At some point during this horrific contortion, she died, her soul then getting devoured by thirsting demons. It wasn't the worst death there is, however her performance is what really poisoned the Legion's soul and drove the Emperor's children towards Slanesh's embrace, so there was a lot of significance to it. This next vicious death really takes you off guard and feels very mean-spirited, but I actually really like how it was written and how twisted it really was. That being the death of Caryl. Caryl was an interrogator for Inquisitor Gideon Ravenor, one of the most legendary Inquisitors to ever live. Interrogators basically been Inquisitors in training. He was a charming, good man, very extra as he wore dozens of rings, but he was brilliant and loyal, a good man. However, after taking a low-key chaos-corrupted drug, he was subtly possessed by one of the most powerful demons to ever exist.
Of course, why not, right?
The possession was very insidious and secretive. The demon had to slowly charge up its power, hence wanted to keep its presence hidden, so Caryl went about his day without even realizing something was wrong. It actually got to a point where Caryl started manifesting demonic powers, however had enough control to use them for good, saving the lives of his friends and even stopping the plot of a bad guy. It actually seemed like Carl's good nature and will was keeping the demon in check. However, the demon had just been fucking with Caryl. It was in control the entire time and could have killed him or dominated him at a moment's notice. When Caryl is kidnapped by the bad guys to allow for the demon to finally manifest, it is seriously the worst shit ever. The demon begins slowly manifesting, putting Caryl in massive agony. Caryl is holding it back though, or at least he thinks he's holding it back, due to his willpower and hope that Gideon will save him. When he hears that Gideon is on the way, he feels a surge of hope that seemingly pushes the demon down, but then the demon simply laughs and overloads Caryl, causing his hands to turn into claws and popping his rings in the process. Blood spurts out of Carl's eyes, mouth and ears, his legs begin to violently seizure, his eardrums explode and his eyes boil and melt in their own sockets. He bites his own tongue off and screams again.
Is it the first two people deserved what they got coming to them? They deserved it. This third example right here shows how terrible the Warhammer universe is to people, man. To everyone. This guy was just a good dude, and he's just getting stripped to shreds by a demon, internally. Ugh.
Gurgle of agony through the blood.
Jeez.
The worst part is that the book simply then says, this would be the last hour of Caryl human existence. It would be the most miserable and ghastly 60 minutes anyone would ever endure, implying that all the fucked up shit I just mentioned that occurred to him in the first 30 seconds of the demon's manifestation was simply the entree to the true agony of his death. Overall, Caryl had a very, very, very bad time, made by the fact that all the books pointed towards Caryl maybe being able to overcome the demon. Now onto the second most brutal death in 40k. We knew this one would be on the list, but we didn't know where it would be, that being the death of Sanguinius at the hands of Horus. Everyone knew this was coming. Established lore has Horus killing Sanguinius for the past 20 odd years, but we wanted to believe, hope beyond hope, that something would change, that GW would retcon it. We had all grown attached to Sanguinius, and after him killing Angron, Kabunda, and low-key soloing the entire Might of Chaos for a little while, he seemed unstoppable. But not only did GW keep Sanguinius' death, but they made it brutal as fuck. Firstly, they had Horus depowered in his normal Primarch state to give him and Sanguinius a fair brother-to-brother fight. They even allowed Sanguinius to win this fight, despite how wounded he was from Angron and how strong Horus was. It literally answered the question, who was the most powerful Primarch, and the answer was Sanguinius. But then Horus activated creative mode and gained the power of a god. It literally then says Sanguinius charged at the speed of light, but Horus moved at the speed of darkness. Horus breaks Sanguinius' wings and then starts beating the shit out of him with Worldbreaker. The author literally says he beats him like a disobedient dog, saying his lungs collapse, the skin on his face gets half torn off, hanging off like a skin mask, and there's blood everywhere. Sanguinius can't even get his last words out as he chokes on all the blood in his lungs before Horus then picks him up and snaps his spine and neck with a vicious crunch. Then to add insult to the injury, demons pour out of the shadows and string Sanguinius' corpse up so that the Emperor will see one of his true sons broken and destroyed. It was brutal as fuck, and I am all here for it. It was the most undignified end for the most dignified character. However, that still doesn't quite match the brutality of this next and final death, the death of Raven Divine. This is going to be a bit convoluted, but trust me, you'll be in awe of the sad irony and brutality of this death, a true testament to the writers of Warhammer books. Raven was a massive prick. He was the son of the leader of House Divine, the ruling family of the world of Molech, a key imperial world that Horus was keen to take during the Horus Heresy. Raven was that dashing, arrogant, and charismatic kind of guy, strong-willed and cruel. He also fucked his sister, who used to be engaged to his half-brother. Raven was also a knight. a pilot of the legendary war mechs of the Imperium. His brother Albad was supposed to be the heir to
Lot
Molech,
to take in
but
right there
during
in
his
the last
bonding
5
experience
seconds.
with his knight, he was sabotaged by the agents of chaos, which left him crippled. Then Raven's mother began subtly poisoning Albad to keep him in a near vegetative state, paving the way for Raven's ascension. So with Raven being such a prick, you would think that his death would be justified. After all, it happened because Albad was able to resist the poison, reclaim his mind, kill his bitch-ass stepmother, and then was able to capture Raven, Raven's sister slash fuck buddy, and Raven's kids, before killing them one by one in front of Raven, before then killing Raven as well.
Jeez.
A brutal death, but seemingly deserved. Albad then took command of the defenses of Molech against Horus. You'd think that this would be a good thing. Albad was always more of the noble knight to Raven's dashing rogue. But no. See, Raven was a massive prick, but he was loyal to Molech, the Emperor, and his own ego. He wouldn't fall to chaos or betray the Emperor because that was cringe and lame. I mean, he literally got lured to Fulgrim's demon form, and then when Fulgrim tried to corrupt him, Raven said, "Fuck you, nerd," and turbo blasted him with laser beams before running away. He literally was faced with raw corruption and
sick
told
armor
to
though,
eat his
bro.
dick. He was also quite effectively leading the defense of Molech, even once almost killing Horus in battle, with Horus only surviving due to bullshit chaos hacks. Albad, on the other hand, despite his surge of will, was still mentally broken. During the final battle for Molech, the Imperials pulled out an Imperator-class Titan, which was turning the tide of battle in favor of the Loyalists. Albad was preparing his knights to charge the enemy when Slaanesha's influence took a shot at Albad.
I fucking hate Slaanesh. Oh much.
He was so mentally weak at that point that when Slaanesh offered him a chance for glory and a renewed youthful body, he accepted it, creating a chain reaction which then corrupted the rest of the Knights of House Divine. They then rode forth and attacked the Imperator Titan from behind within its shielding, causing its death and losing the war for the Imperials. The brutal part about this is that by the noble, wronged son Albad taking vengeance against his asshole brother Raven, he doomed his soul and his world. The death of Raven itself was pretty brutal, but the fact that letting the prick win and keeping Albad locked away would have been the best result. The brutalness comes from the irony that Raven's actions were almost justified and that him being the bad guy was the best thing for the people of Molech. I hope that makes sense because in my head it's fucking awesome. If you enjoyed
Well, that was a lot to take in a short period of time. It was really good, really good. Kind of bummed out about the 2 deaths, one noble guy and also the Primarch as well. It kind of sucked. The other 3 were kind of deserving. And I hate Slaanesh. I didn't cover that in the video enough. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video as much as I did. I would think there'd be more lore involved in this, far more than was covered in this video. So if you guys want to see more into it, I can try to look a little deeper into these deaths, and we can do a couple other videos about each one. If you guys want that, just let me know in the comments. But again, original video will be in the description. Show them some love. If you guys enjoy the content, give your reactions, please don't forget to like and subscribe. See you guys in the next one. Take it easy.